Picture this. You are huddled on a thin straw pallet in a dim, smoke-filled hut in rural England, 1275 AD. The chill of early spring seeping through the wattle and daub walls like fingers of ice tracing your spine. Your bare feet, calloused and cracked from endless hours in the muddy fields, press against the cold earthen floor, while the coarse wool of your kirtle clings damply to your skin. Heavy with the day's sweat and the faint, sour temps of unwashed bodies crowded too close. Beside you, your husband's labored breaths rise and fall in uneasy rhythm, but it's the sharp, wrenching sob of your neighbor, Agnes Barely, an arm's length away through the shared wall that pierces the night, her body convulsing. As fever burns through her, the Black Death's invisible grip tightening. The air hangs thick with the metallic scent of blood from her bitten tongue, mingled with the acrid smoke from the dying hearth fire, and the distant lowing of starving cattle echoes like a lament. This is your world. A fragile thread of survival stretched taut over an abyss of suffering, where every breath you draw carries the weight of constraints no modern heart could fathom, yet here you endure, skin to skin, with hardship whispering prayers into the flickering shadows. If these whispers from the past draw you deeper into their tender, shadowed embrace, welcome to Whispers of History. Wherever you're listening from tonight, perhaps curled under soft blankets in a quiet room far from these ancient woes, thank you for joining this journey. If these stories stir your soul, consider subscribing for more veiled truths of yesteryear, and drop a gentle comment below sharing your corner of the world. It's a quiet wonder, connecting across centuries through shared curiosity. Your fingers, roughened by spindle and loom, ache as you shift beneath the threadbare blanket shared with your two young ones. Their small forms pressed against you for warmth, their feverish skin hot against your chilled flesh. Childbirth has marked you deeply, not with joy alone, but with the raw terror of the lying-in chamber where the midwife's gnarled hands probe your swollen belly. Her breath hot and garlicky on your face as she mutters incantations against the demons that might steal the babe mid-birth. The pains come like waves crashing on jagged rocks, each contraction ripping through your core. Blood and waters soaking the rushes strewn across the floor, slick and stinking in the close air. No healer attends unless you're noble. For you, peasant wife, it's neighbors with herb-stained fingers forcing caudle down your throat, tail thick with groot and bitter. Pennyroyal too, dull the agony that lasts days sometimes. Weeks your body tearing as the child emerges blue and silent, too often half of them claimed by God before their first cry. You feel it still, that hollow grief, the placenta heavy in the basin, your womb contracting empty as you bind your breasts against the milk that flows unwanted for a lost one. Yet survival demands. You rise within hours, blood still seeping into rags stuffed between your thighs, the church bells tolling for purification. Rites that bar you from the sacred table for 40 days, your body deemed unclean, a vessel of sin-made flesh. The priest's voice drones through the haze. Woman, thou art the gate of hell, echoing the words of the church fathers, binding you tighter than any chain. Your husband's eyes meet yours across the crowded hall, a flicker of shared ache, but duty pulls him to the fields, leaving. You too cradle the survivor. Your nipples raw and cracked as the babe suckles greedily, drawing blood that mixes with colostrum, the pain, a constant companion sharper than thorns. In this radial weave of motherhood's chains, every feeding binds you closer to the hearth's glow, yet farther from freedom, your world shrinking to the rhythm of cries and the slow drip of life from your exhausted frame. The scent of damp earth rises as you stumble outside at dawn, skirts hiked to squat over a ditch, the humiliation burning hotter than the sun on your exposed skin. No privy for the likes of you, just the open fields where prying eyes from neighboring huts might glimpse your vulnerability, whispering of your woman's flux as if it was shame itself. Menstruation brands you further, no touch from your husband allowed. For the church decrees your blood corrupt, a monthly curse from Eve's folly that wilts crops and sickens beasts if it touches them. You feel the warm trickle down your thigh, hastily staunching it with rags boiled in urine to cleanse the sin. The acrid steam stinging your eyes as you stir the pot over peaty flames. These cycles govern you utterly to scant, and you're barren, shunned as worthless. Too frequent and accused of witchcraft, your neighbor's fingers pointing at bruises mistaken for devil's marks. In the quiet hush of twilight, as you bind fresh linen with trembling hands, a deeper constraint settles. Your body, never your own, leased first to father, then husband, then God, each claiming dominion over its rhythms. Layer by layer, the manacles of matrimony close, arranged by parchment and coin at 12 or 14. Your consent, a whisper drowned by dowry negotiations. You stand veiled before the church door, the priest's cold ring sliding onto your finger like a shackle forged in canon law. With my body I thee worship, the vows bind you. But they mean subjection, your husband's right to your flesh, absolute. Refusal, branded mortal sin, the marriage debt owed on demand. Feel the rough wool of his tunic against your back as he claims you that first night. The great hall snores, a chorus around the curtained bed, no sanctuary from eyes or ears. Whispers pass from mother to daughter. Endure the pain, feign pleasure for conception, lest he seek the alehouse wench whose laughter stings sharper than birch rods. Noblewomen fare no better, political pawns bartered for alliances. Isabel de Clare, wed at 12, to a stranger thrice her age, her bed a battlefield where tenderness wars with conquest. Yet in these bonds blooms a subtle sensuality, born of proximity and peril. Your hand brushes his in the dim light, calluses meeting like old friends, a silent vow amid the children's coughs. The church's fast days, Wednesdays, Fridays, Sundays, Lents, 40 enforce abstinence, turning longing into a slow simmer, your bodies side by side yet chaste, heat building beneath a shared blanket like embers banked for dawn. When permitted, the act is shadowed by fear. Pregnancy again, or the pox from tainted wells, or the lecherous lord's wandering gaze that could end in the stocks. Your skirts torn by bailiffs enforcing his rights. Softly, the night deepens, the wind carrying echoes of women's muffled cries from distant huts, pulling you toward the veiled horrors of justice and the flesh that echo through the veil of night, drawing you into the shadowed courts where women's flesh became both currency and curse. The rough hands of bailiffs closing around your arms as accusations fly like arrows in the dim torchlight of the village square. Your heart pounds against your ribs, the coarse rope of the stocks biting into your wrists, splinters drawing beads of blood that trickle warm down your chilled skin, while the crowd's jeers rise like a bitter windstones pelt your skirts. Mud splatters your face, the sting of humiliation hotter than any flame. This is the justice of the manor, where a husband's idle word or a neighbor's grudge can brand you scold or whore. Your tongue locked in the iron bridle, its spiked bit pressing against your palate until blood fills your mouth, coppery and thick, forcing silence on your protests. Feel the weight of it, the cold metal leaching heat from your jaw, your breath ragged through flared nostrils as children mimic the mob's cruelty, their small fists clutching rotten cabbage that bursts wet against your cheek. In this radial tangle of punishment's embrace, every woman learns the fragility of voice and virtue. Her body, the battlefield where law and lust collide. The Lord's Hall looms in your memory, its rush-strewn floor damp underfoot, the scent of roasting venison cloying amid the sweat of retainers packed wall to wall. Their eyes heavy-lidded and hungry as you serve ale from the jug balanced on your hip. Your kirtle strains across your breasts, still tender from nursing, and his gaze lingers to long the Lord's, thick with entitlement forged in the doomsday ledgers that list you as mere chattel alongside oxen and ploughland. Whispers circulate of the droit du Seigneur, that shadowed myth, half-truth, where brides are claimed on wedding nights, the bridal bed invaded by his bulk. Your husband's face averted in impotent fury as silk sheets tangle with your cries, the air thick with musk and murmured threats of eviction if resistance hardens. Even without the full claim, the Harriet demands your best beast upon his death, or worse. Your person, as merchant fine paid for permission to wed, lest your womb's fruit enrich another lord's coffers. Your skin prickles at the memory of his fingers grazing yours over the tankard, a promise of violation veiled as favor, binding you tighter to the land that owns you, your survival hinged on submission's slow surrender. Dawn breaks grey over the fields, your back aching from the harvest stoop, scythe's handle blistered in your palms as you bind sheaves, the golden stalks whispering against your thighs like dry tongues. But widowhood's spectre haunts every swing for, if your man falls to ague or blade, you inherit nothing but his debts, the villanage chaining daughter to glebe as surely as son. unless you buy freedom with body or coin. The Reeves leering bargain in the shadowed tithe barn, where hay pricks your spine and his breath reeks of onions. Feel the scratch of quill on parchment as he tallies your fine. Your dowry, those few hens and linen shifts swallowed by custom, leaving you to spin till fingers bleed. The distaffs wait, a constant reminder that marriage was no sanctuary but a ledger entry, your fertility taxed like wheat. Noblewomen twist in finer chains. Margaret Paston, her letters stained with ink and desperation, petitions endlessly for dower lands withheld. Her children's futures bartered while she endures the cold keep alone, wind moaning through arrow slits like lost souls. In this web of inheritances, grasp, widowhood offers no respite. Only the Reeves knock at midnight, his hand extended for more than silver. Layer upon layer, the church's doctrines weave their invisible fetters. The priest's incense-heavy breath on your face during confession, his voice a low rumble through the grill. How oft hast thou lain with thy husband on feast days? Your cheeks burn as you murmur admissions, the penance of psalms on bended knees amid the nave's chill stone. Flagstones grinding into your joints while the crucifix looms overhead, Christ's agony mirroring your own veiled torments. Ember days, rogation tides, the vigil of Saint Saul forbidden for the marriage debt. Your longing banked like coals, reduced to sidelong glances across the trencher, his foot nudging yours beneath the board in silent plea. Yet sin stalks closer. The temptress label clings, if childless too. Long herbs from the wise woman's pouch, rue and silfirm, brewed in secrecy risking the stake if discovered. Flames licking your shift as inquisitors declaim Eve's daughters spawning demons from barren wombs. Feel the hearth's false warmth that night, your hand slipping beneath the blanket to trace his thigh. Constraint turning touch to sacrament, every permitted union shadowed by theology's unyielding gaze. The forest edge calls at midday, skirts kilted as you forage nettles, thorns snagging your hem like grasping fingers, the air alive with birdsong masking deeper perils. Rape's shadow falls, heavy here vagabond peddlers, drunken serfs, or the knight's retinue riding roughshod from tourney, dragging you into bracken where brambles tear flesh and cries dissolve in wind. No justice for the likes of you. The assizes demand for witnesses to prove force your bruises dismissed as wanton marks. The perpetrator fined a shilling if caught while you bear the bastard, alone its suckling mouth a daily accusation in the village well's gossip. Cecily of York, noble bastardy, her chain, shuttled between courts as pawn, her blood no shield from lecherous uncles. Your breath catches now, recalling the healer's salves for wounds unvoiced. The communal bath of steam where women share silent scars, fingers tracing faded welts under the tepid water's veil. In this branching snare of violation's aftermath, survival whispers through shared herbs and averted eyes, tenderness forged in the hush of wounds that never fully heal. Twilight gathers, the manor's whipping post stark against the sky. Lashes cracking like thunder as another's back lays open, blood spraying warm mist on onlookers' faces. The crowd's hush broken by her stifled gasps at adultery's price, or mere shrewishness. The carting through streets with head shaved, chamber pot appended over her nakedness, filth sliding cold down spine and buttocks. You clutch your shawl tighter, the night's chill deepening as these echoes pull you toward accusations darker still. Whispers of witches' sabbaths where women's rage boils into spectral vengeance. The steady rise and fall of your breath is interrupted by the sharp, searing pain that curls through your belly like a serpent coiling tight, heralding the birth that defines womanhood in this time a dark testament to survival's cost. Imagine the crowded room where you lie, half-dressed on a hard wooden bench or a rush-strewn mattress, the winter chill gnawing at your exposed limbs. The midwife, a stoic figure swathed in soot-stained linens, presses her palm cool against your clammy forehead, her rough hands steady as she checks the slow progress. The murmur of prayers rises and falls like the tide, and the scent of burning rosemary and rue mingles thickly with sweat and blood. Your heart races, thrumming against survival's fragile thread, while each contraction tears you open a little more, the pain both a blade and a benediction. Childbirth, this perilous journey through darkness and light, claims more lives than war or plague combined. Imagine, as you do, the grim statistics whispered in shadowed corners. 1 in 5 married women in the flourishing towns, and scattered villages of England will be claimed by the Grim Reaper during labour or shortly after, their bodies too fragile to bear the reckoning of new life. In the cold stone abbeys of Florence, too, the tally is merciless. You clutch at a midwife's hand, knowing the danger lies not just in the travail, but lurking in the aftermath infections born of unwashed linen, the retained placenta festering unseen, like a slow poison. The midwife's knowledge, passed down through generations, becomes a lifeline. Yet many succumb to the unseen foe, their death cry swallowed by the walls of poorly ventilated chambers. Feel the raw exhaustion as days turn into nights in enforced confinement, your body's slow reclamation fraught with discomfort and dread. The afterwards is as treacherous as the delivery, the dangers of hemorrhage, sepsis, and malnourishment gnawing at your weakened frame. The infant, too, must be swaddled tightly, its tiny limbs precious and vulnerable in the harsh world it enters, cradled in a rough basket near the fire's dying embers. A tiny life sustained on warmth and whispered hopes, wrapped in the beating of its mother's heart. A fragile flame in the cold wilderness of medieval existence. The social weight of childbirth adds its own invisible chains. You are bound not only by physical perils, but by a network of expectations and silences. Conceiving a child is both a blessing and a mandate, a divine duty etched deep into the fabric of your existence by church and community. Your womb is a battleground where survival and sin intertwine, infertility marked with suspicion, early death cloaked in whispered curses. Through this radial weave of maternal experience, you feel the dusty hands of tradition pressing upon you. The midwife, often the sole guardian of female knowledge, offers counsel wrapped in secret herbs, prayers, rituals, attempting to stave off the ever-looming spectre of miscarriage or stillbirth. As the newborn's soft cry fills the room, mingling with the crackling fire and distant cuckoo's call, relief blooms fragile and fleeting in your chest. Yet even this joy is tempered by the shadow of mortality that clings to you both. A reminder that the gift of life is balanced precariously against the finality of death. The ancient dance between hope and despair plays out in the small corners of your world, each birth a quiet defiance against the darkness. You breathe in the mingling scent sash sweat, earth and cling to the whispered promises of survival in this relentless age. The story of childbirth in the Middle Ages is not merely one of pain and loss, but of enduring, light flickering, soft and steady through the long, cold nights, where women's rage boils into spectral vengeance, the acrid smoke of pyres curling like accusing fingers toward the starless sky, your own skin crawling with the chill dread of neighbors turned gazers, their whispers slithering through the thatch like serpents in Eden. You huddle closer to the pallet's edge, the straw pricking sharp through your shift, as memories flood of old Mabel from the next croft, her bent frame dragged to the ducking stool by the mill pond, coarse ropes chafing her wrists raw while the reeve intones charges of maleficium cows gone dry. Babes born twisted, her gasps bubbling through icy water as villagers press forward, faces twisted in pious fear, the splash echoing your own heartbeat's frantic thrum. Dunked thrice, she emerges sputtering, hair matted like drowned weeds, branded witch by trial of cold that spares no mercy, her body shivering into fevers embraced nights later, unmarked yet condemned. Feel the mob's breath hot on your neck, the press of bodies denying escape, in this radial spiral of accusations, noose. Every woman's wisdom herbs for ache, charms for milker, potential pyres, fuel, survival demanding silence sweeter than honeyed mead. The hearth's embers pulse faint orange, casting elongated shadows that dance like imps across the daubed walls, pulling your thoughts to the kirk's stern finger wagging over fleshly sins, the priest estonsured pate, gleaming as he thunders from the pulpit against the filth of woman, Eve's daughters, vessels of temptation. Your monthly courses, proof of corruption that bars you from the altar rail, kneeling instead in the nave's chill outer dark. Confession's grill presses cold lattice against your lips, his voice a gravelly probe through the wood. Hast thou bewitched thy husband's seed, or lain with familiars under moonlight? Your tongue stumbles over denials, penances lash biting your palms in self-flagellation's rhythm, blood welling warm between fingers clenched on rosary beads of bone. The Malleus Maleficarum's poison seeps even to your backwater glen inquisitors, boots thudding village paths, their quills scratching your name. If a storm follows your curse at lost loaves, flames reserved for the bold. Joan of Arc's noble pyre, a distant echo, but Agnes Bernauer, drowned as sorceress for love's too fierce flame. In this theological tangle, faith's comfort twists to fetter, your prayers whispered into palms, lest zealots hear heresy in pleas for barrenness end. Dawn's pale light filters through oiled parchment window, your fingers numb on the loom's treadle. Wool's itch, relentless, as serfdom's yoke binds you to the glebe. Fleeing the manor, a felony punishable by recapture's whip. Scars lacing your back like cruel embroidery from past attempts. The bailiff's brand searing for fugitive into thigh flesh that screams with every stride. Villanage chains daughters to the soil as ironclad as sons. Your betrothal's merchant fine for wedding permission, extorted in silver or sweat. The Lord's tally stick notched against your womb's future yield. Bastards get his by custom unless churching rights claim otherwise. Feel the plough's handle slick in blistered grip, furrows mirroring life's unyielding rose. Widows weak of grace, crushed by Reeve's demand for harriature man's best ox. Or you, in its stead, skirts hiked in shadowed barn, where hay dust chokes breath and his grunts mark transactions close. Noble's mirror in velvet, Eleanor de Montfort, heiress shuttled 2 loveless beds for Warwick's gain. Her letters, ink-stained pleas, lost to parchment's indifference. This economic web ensnares utterly, labour's ache, a constant lover, freedom's dream dissolving like mist at Lord's. Midday sun beats merciless on the harvest field, your spine bowed under sickle's curve, golden heads whispering judgments as sunstrokes haze blurs vision. Yet rest denied, lest domain quotas crush your kin under amercement's weight. Hunger gnaws hollow in belly. Rye bread's grit between teeth scant shield against famine's skeletal grasp 1348's shadow looms, even now, plague culling a third but sparing none, the prior lean years where ergot's fire dances in veins from tainted loaves. Convulsions twisting limbs as midwives bind you against self-harm. Visions of demons born of want. Your children's eyes hollering to plead from the hovel door, their coughs wet harbingers of consumption that claims lungs slow, blood-flecked rags hawked into dawn light. Feel the communal ovens heat baking communal despair, loaves portioned by status. Your share crumbs while the manor's table groans, charity's pottage thinned to shadow. In survival's branching thorns, famine forges resilience. Neighbour's hand sharing hidden cheese under cloak of night, bonds tighter than blood in adversity's forge. Twilight deepens to bruised purple, the well's bucket heavy in rope-burned palms. Gossip's murmur rising like midges. She speaks bold shrew's tongue, earns the brank. Iron muzzles, spikes drawing blood as cart drags you through mire. Villagers' spittle cooling on fevered cheeks. Penance for words deemed venom. Domestic shadows loom larger husband's fist raised in drink-fueled rage. Bruises blooming purple under sleeves. No recourse but priest's mild homily or community-shaming song at door. Your silence, the bomb that preserves hearth. Whispers draw you onward. Toward the healer's shadowed glen, where forbidden draughts promise respite from womb's relentless claim. Vapors of mandrake and pennyroyal curling inviting yet lethal. Vapors of mandrake and pennyroyal curling, inviting yet lethal, their earthy tang sharp on your tongue as the wise woman's gnarled fingers crush leaves into a steaming posset, her rheumy eyes locking yours in the herb-strewn gloom of her turf-roofed hovel, thatch dripping condensation like unshed tears onto the packed earth floor. You sip warily, the bitter brew scalding your throat, a desperate bid to staunch the womb's crimson tide or banish the seed that swells unwanted. For another mouth means starvation's sharper bite amid the domain's grudging acres. Church thunder denounces such arts as sorcery, yet desperation whispers louder than bells. Your hand pressing belly's curve where life or curse does. The cramps release, a guilty relief mingled with dread of purgatory's flames for spilled potential. Feel the draughts, slow warmth spread, loosening sinews knotted by endless gestation in this radial hush of forbidden pharmacy. Every hedgerow bloom a double-edged mercy, healing one ache while forging chains of secrecy heavier than anvil iron. The spindle whirs, soft in firelight. Wool's greasy fleece clinging to sweat-damp palms. Your daughter's aping the motion at 5 summers. Tiny fingers fumbling distaff as mother's rote commands fill the smoke-hazed air. Spin true. lest lords tally fall short and lash fines our backs. No schoolroom summons you. Literacy's candle flickers, rare for women of clay and callous. Latin's mysteries, barred by university gates, slammed on daughters. Vernacular scraps, gleaned if pious dame teaches Psalter by heart. Hornbooks wax scratched with stylus to form a vase curve. Feel the quill's ghost in your unlettered grip. Envy pricking sharper than thistle as priest drones mass in tongue unknown. Your prayers mumbled from memory's fragile thread, saints invoked by rote amid the nave's incense fog. Elite shadows tease, exception noble girls bent over illuminated tomes in Solar's velvet hush. Hildegard von Bingen's visions inked in lapis splendor. Yet even they navigate cloisters, leash, learning piety over philosophy, quills wielded for devotion, not dominion. In knowledge's veiled arbor, ignorance binds tighter than wedlock's ring. Your world shrunk to oral law's murmur, tales spun finer than flax, but powerless against parchment's decree. Noon scorches the bleaching green linen sheets, billowing like ghosts on hedged lines, lies caustic sting, raising blisters on forearms, as you pound soiled clouts in wooden trough, urine s, ammonia bite watering eyes, while communal well yields gossip s poison, her man s roving marks, the alewife s neck. Reputation's fragile, web snags on rumor. Adultery's shadow dooming you to cart's humiliation, head shorn to stubble under jeering skies. Chamber pots slurry sliding cold down naked spine as penances crowd chants shame. Chastity's yoke chafes, constant husbands, fidelity demanded, yet his dalliances shrugged. While your glance astray brands harlot, community watch sharper than lord's bailiff. Feel skirts tugged modest over ankles in market throng, eyes downcast lest bold gaze invite stock's bite or worse. The bridle's iron curb grinding tongue to bloody silence for scold's venom. Noble women with subtler snares. Adulteress immured alive, Eleanor of Aquitaines, courtly troubadours, veiling lust in verse. Her own captivity gilded cage for rumoured sins. This moral lattice constricts breath by breath, virtue's armour heavy as mail. Survival's art in averted eyes and whispered pleas. Dusk cloaks the milking stool's vigil. Cows, warm flank heaving under practiced palm, milk jetting rhythmic into foaming pail. Udder's heat, a fleeting comfort, gainst night's encroaching frost. Yet even beasts mirror servitude, your labour taxed to manner's churn. Butter pats, stamped for Reeve's levy. Household's toil grinds ceaseless. Dawn's pottage, stirred hour peaty coals. Ashrake, scraping embers. Endless mend of hose worn thin by furrow's drag. Candle dipping, scalding wax sealing, fingers raw. No respite in widow's weeds. Remarriage thrusts upon you like bailiff's hand. Fresh husband's debts, swallowing scant dower, stepchildren's glares colder than you'll wind. Feel the quern's grind, powdering barley to dust between stones, arms aching in ceaseless circle, bread's meagre loaf your throne in kingdom of want. In drudgery's endless braid, rare joys gleam yarn dyed, woad blue for festive kirtle. Neighbours' shared laugh o'er shared woe, bonds forged in sweat's communion. Night's velvet folds tighter, pallet creaking under shared weight. Children's breaths, soft syncopation to husband's rumble. Yet sleep flees as ague's chill shakes you. Marsh miasmas curse fevering bones. No physic but willow barks, tepid tea. Disease stalks intimate, scrofulas, swellings. St. Anthony's fire blistering flesh to weeping sores. Plagues buboes, blackening groins, in 1348's harvest of souls. Your arms nursing kin through delirium's thrash, vinegar cloths reeking on pustuled skin. Feel quarantine's lonely vigil, door barred by red cross. Cries unanswered save priests, distant absolution, survival's lottery spun in darkened hovel. Whispers lure deeper, to cloister's stone embrace where vows trade one chain for another's vow of silence. Cloister's stone embrace where vows trade one chain for another's vow of silence. The chill flagstones kissing your bare feet through threadbare sandals. Rough hemp scourging skin raw as you kneel in chapter house gloom. The abbess's voice, a measured cadence echoing off vaulted arches. Binding you to perpetual chastities, yoke heavier than widow's weeds or wedlock's ring. Imagine the novitiate's hush, your habit's coarse, wool chafing, sun-starved flesh. Tonsures razor scraping scalp to stubble that itches under coif. The cloister, Garth's lavender scent, a fleeting mercy amid garlic fast's gnawing void. Rule of Saint Benedict, dictating labor, ora ite, labora scythe, swinging in garden rows dawn to Compline. Parchment illuminated by rushlights, sputter till eyes blur. Feel the grill's iron lattice cold against cheek during parlor speaks with kin, voices muffled through mesh like distant echoes. Your world shrunk to quadrangles measured paces, no glimpse of outer green save herb beds ordered ranks. In this radial cloister of enclosures, grace, freedom's wild breath, traded for spirit's supposed flight. Yet walls whisper of escapes Juliana, of Norwich's solitary anchorite cell, bricked, live around her peephole, to mass her soul vista visions, born of isolation's forge. The scriptorium summons at tears. Vellum's taut hide, taut under all pricked lines. Gallnut inks, acrid bite, staining cuticles, black, as you chase minim letters with goosequill's rasp. Lapis lazuli powder dusting lap for virgin's robe in hour's glow. Yet women's Latin barred from universities, Hors Oxford. Paris slamming oak, on daughters leaving hornbooks, wax, for Potter s curve, if dame's school s pity grants it. Elite shadows pierce veil. Noble girls tutored in solar hush. Christine de Pizan as quill defiant in widow. As Paris bower scripting city of ladies against. Misogynist S-tide Hildegard, dictating Siviers, from Rhine's green cloister, her physics herbs, bomb for peasants' flux. Feel envy prick as prioress turns pages, your own prayers memorized, wrote Sands. Pages prop vernaculars, whisper literacies, fringe for urban wives, tallying looms, yet countryside claims. 5 in 10 unlettered souls, women's share heavier knowledge, oral chain from grandsire's knee. In learning's shadowed nave, quill's denial binds, tighter than rosary's knot. Wisdom gleaned in hedgerow lore over tome's locked clasp. Vesper's bells, tollbone deep, Compline's hush, descending like frost. Refectory's trencher passed in silence, save readers drone from lectern perch. Saltfish and peas pottage scant on lips chapped by wind-lashed walks. Discipline's feral swift for dropped stitch or murmured word. Welts rising red under sleeves concealment. Enclosures, radial thorns, branch inward. Blood kindred barred, save screened parlor. No mother's clasp for fevered brow. Sister's jest, lost to world's clamor. Souls, surgery in solitude's blade. Yet scandals, Festinan's belly swelling from porter's rut in larder shade. Penance's lash shared in chapter hush. Expulsion to penitence, rags, or worse. Leper squints, living tomb. Feel the misericords' stolen warmth. Lay sisters' chatter, piercing grill like contraband mead. Bonds forged in shared breviaries. Rhythm against abbess's rod. Noble convents' gilded chains. Eleanor of Aquitaines, font of rout. Queens pensioned in purple, but vows ironclad. No dowries, ransom from heaven's ledger. Noon's siesta yields to lavatories, trek. Stone privy pits, reek rising as communal pots, emptied by lay hands. Modesty's veil, thin in sisterly gaze. Flux's rags, shared in washerwomen's steam. Churchin's 40 days, barring mass, post-birth mirroring cloisters, endless fast from fleshly tide. Disease creeps cloister walls, cloistered plagues, culling choirs. Ergits dance, twisting vespers, genuflect. Scrofula king's evil, lanced in chapter's pity, yet kings touch distant, for vowed virgins. Willow tea and rue posits, soul physic from infirmary's still room. Feel agues shiver neath wall scapula. Neighbor nuns palm cool on brow through bars. Tenderness blooming in vows constraint. Survival's art in murmured psalmody. Compline's last amen fades. Dortoir's long room swallowing forms in curtained stalls. Pallet stuffed oat straw, sighing under weight. Breaths sinking in dark like field mice in burrow. Yet nightmares, stalk demons, clawing grills, dream shadow. Foundress's bones, rattling reliquary for obedience's lapse. Dawn's matins pulls you vertical, spine protesting flagstone genuflect, cycle eternal as season's wheel. Whispers draw through stone, to marketplace's clamor where tradeswomen defy distaff's fate. Guild rolls, grudging women's thread. Guild rolls, grudging women's thread. The marketplace's clamor enveloping you like a rough-spun cloak stalls. Wooden frames creaking under bolts of Lincoln, scarlet, and ypres cloth, your calloused fingers testing woolsnap for flaws as merchants hawk from carts scarred. By rutted miles, the air thick with tanneries, bitter reek, and fresh-baked manchettes yeasty lure. You stand at the weave widow's booth, inherited loom's legacy clutched in widow's weeds. Guild masters wax seal hot on your indenture parchment, granting mastership till remarriage's blade severs it. For cologne's yarn spinners and silk weavers, claim women near holy. Gold spinners' wives threading bullion into nobles' veils. Yet journeymen's scowls prickle like nettle when you price high, defending yardage against undercut wares. Feel the shuttle's wooden heft, smooth in palm from year's rhythm. Warp threads humming taut as you bestride the pit looms in damp cellar workshop. Feet pumping treadles, slick with sweat. Patterns bloom, emerging slow from drab skeins, dyed woad and madder in backyard VATs, scalding steam. In this radial loom of trade's defiance, widows write a fragile shuttle-piercing mail weave, survival stitched in every measured L sold at fair's fevered pitch. The Guildhall's oaken door swings heavy on iron hinges. Beeswax taper S-glow, gilding horned tankards, as you join the Brethren S feast, silk ribbon makers of Ruang, numbering mistresses among masters. Parisian seamstresses clamoring incorporation in 1675's echo from medieval roots. Your voice rising tentative in chapters murmur to vote on apprentice fees. Ferrell's threat for quality laps hovering like Reeves' tally stick. Widows hold firms till sons claim majority. Daughters' paths barred, save inheritance's grace. Yet in fishmongers' ranks and butchers' bloody stalls, women heft creels and cleavers. Leather dyers' vats, staining skirts, indigo. Cooper's ads, chipping precise in women-led woodcraft guilds. Feel the prentice girls, all wide eyes on your deft knotting of weaver's reed, her fingers fumbling under your correction. Knowledge past clandestine when bylaws bind against teaching daughters the mystery, lest guild secrets spill to illicit looms in lion's black market silk. Noble parallels gleam faint. Countesses' favoured embroiderers, scripting tapestries for solar walls. Threads veiling political pleas in stitchery's code. This craft lattice lifts yet leashes. Mastery widow's crown, thorned by remarriage's forfeiture. Bonds forged in shared banquets, warmth against exclusions, creeping chill. Dawn filters smoky through casement's oiled skin. Your stall unfolding in Shrewsbury's draped high street. Panniers groaning with pinned hose and kirtles, seamed by needles' flash. Customers' coin chinking into leather scrip as you haggle sharp femme soul status, granting trade sans husband S-nod. Though tax rolls tally widows' keenest, their booths thriving till fresh vows dissolve rights like dew at Lord's. Brewing ales foam crowns your ewer in village greens contest. Best batches, judged by foam's steadfast lace. Victor's garland entitling yearly sales, sans guild levy. Women dominating Mashton and Firkin till 13th century edicts curb the Brewster's riot. Feel yeast's lively prickle on tongue from tasting wort. Paddles steam-warmed heft, stirring malt in lead-lined tun. Suds spilling foamy benediction over hearthstone worn by generations' toil. In Commiss's branching stalls, alewife's purse jingles freer than distaff's chain. Yet Assier's dipper tests for short measure, stocks bite for watered brew, reputation's froth fragile as head-on tankard. Noon's sun hammers anvil chorus from Smithy Row, your shadow crossing, leather print, tanners. Yard where oak barks, tannic bite cures hides, in pits knee-deep. Women hauling pelts slick with lime-wash guild rolls, listing full rights in some woodworking turns, Cooper's hoops hammered true by daughters' arms. Fishwives gut herring silver-scaled on Billingsgate slabs, knives flashing rhythmic, guts briny slop underfoot. Trade thriving beyond guild, pale in river's ceaseless flow, while needlewomen's thimbles prick fingers bloody for baron's livery. Feel markets press, intimate elbow, nudging hip. Breath hot on neck, as deal seals with palm spat clasp. Women's networks whispering of bulk linen from low country's cog, bypassing master's monopoly. Yet perils lurk. Illicit seamstresses pilfering guild-taught craft for shadow shops. Royal edicts legitimizing lions, silk rebels. But medieval forebearers fined, for theft of mystery, workshops raided at Cockcrow. This artisan web empowers through peril, widow's hammer striking freer than wife's distaff twirl. Twilight's hush claims the booth's fold, coin purse heavy against thigh as you trudge homeward, souls caked in high street mire. Yet hearth summons with pottages simmer, children's clamour weaving through day's ache. Disease, shadows, trades, bustle, sweatshops, damp birthing lungs ignorance, plague quarantining stalls with red cross bolt, customers shunning tainted cloth, Hunger gnaws fiercer in lean fares, unsold bales pawned for crust, survival's tally harsher than guildmaster's quill. Field days' earnings sift through fingers like sand-silver groat for daughter's hornbook. Copper mite for morrows, yeast provisioning life's radial costs. Whispers beckon through gloaming to hearth's false sanctuary where domestic shadows loom darker than marketplace glare. The dawn unfurls gently through the small window of your chamber, dust motes dancing in the slender beams of weak sunlight that kiss the rough-hewn timber walls. As you pull your threadbare kirtle closer to shield against the lingering chill, your hands tremble slightly, not from cold, but from the weight of a secret longing one that is woven into the very texture of your existence. You are a woman in the Middle Ages, tasked with weaving the threads of survival, tending to hearth and home, yet within you lies a hunger for knowledge, a subtle yearning to transcend the confines of your caste and sex. Picture yourself seated on a crude wooden stool beneath the dim flicker of an oil lamp in the corner of the communal hall, a hornbook resting lightly in your lap. The board is scarred from years of use, its waxy surface inscribed with the letters of your alphabet, the Latin prayers you've learned by rote beneath the watchful gaze of elderly matrons or kind nuns. The knowledge of the church, with its labyrinthine rituals and scholarly Latin, is a gate barred to most women, but you cling to the modest scraps of literacy afforded to you. The vernacular script curls like ivy on the surface of worn parchments, passed down from noble patrons to servant scribes, and here, in the shadows of monastic scriptoriums, glimpses of scribbled prayers and ballads whisper promises of worlds beyond the fields you till and the babies you birth. Yet, this knowledge is fragile, and the path to literacy treacherous. Few women attend schools. Most learn from mothers, midwives, or in the convent's cloistered silence, where cloaks of wool dampen the rustle of parchment and candlelight illuminates the quiet mouths mouthing psalms in unison. Noblewomen like Eleanor of Aquitaine kneel in temple step rooms, their hands steady on the quills that transcribe afresh the glowing script of Christine de Pisan's City of Ladies, a soaring defiance against the tides of ignorance and misogyny. Feel the smooth resistance of vellum beneath their fingers, the scent of ink and beeswax marking rebellion in cryptic swirls. Yet, despite these glimpses of erudition, most women's learning remains bound to the oral, the tactile stories whispered beside spinning wheels, prayers memorized under breath, and hands taught to read the subtleties of trade through apprenticeship rather than script. Your world is a radial tapestry stretching wider with every stolen moment of instruction. A slow bloom of intellect in a landscape ruled largely by silence and servitude. The midwife's whispered lessons on herbs and cycles, the merchant's bargaining chants, and the haggler's sharp tongue all become languages learned not from books, but from life itself. As night descends, you fold away the hornbook, tracing the softened edges with a gentle thumb, a silent pact between aspiration and reality. You are the quiet scholar of shadow and flame, your education carved in whispers and woven into the fabric of survival beneath the ever-watchful eyes of a world that would keep you unlettered and unseen. Where domestic shadows loom darker than marketplace glare, the hearth's sullen glow casting jagged silhouettes across the wattle walls, your husband ails outward, breath heavy on your neck as his fist crashes home. Knuckles splitting lip, tender flesh, copper temps blooming sharp on tongue, while children huddle wide-eyed in the corner. Palate their whimpers muffled against straw pillows damp with fear. Bruises flower purple beneath kirtle sleeve are hidden. Archipelago mapping rage, tide zell, fueled after harvest fair reeve, fine, unpaid or neighbor. Jest at his plough, scant, yield your, flinch anticipated. Body curling fetal against the packed earth floor, chill kiss ribs, protesting each heaving sob swallowed silent. Lest Lord bailiff hear, domestic tempest, and fine your meager hearth tax higher. No law shields you. Canon rip its wives suffer as Christ the church. Priest homily, droning turn the other cheek. From Sunday nav, while your split knuckles from gripping distaff to tight throb in rhythm with pulse. Feel the morrow's dawn washing cold gore from face in rain barrel scum. Kerchief binding jaws ache as you stir pottage, smile stitched for village eyes, in this radial hearth of violence's hush. Survival's creed, endurance, sweeter than vengeance's ash. The palate sags under night's weight. Children's coughs, ragged echoes of damp hovels plague. your arms cradling fevered forms, slick with sweat, vinegar cloths reeking sharp as you sponge brows fire. Ague's chill alternating bone-deep shivers that rattle teeth like castanets, no physic but willow bark decoction bitter on lips. Church porch alms denied the feckless whose babes clutter God's earth. Half your brood claimed heir, seventh summer dysentery, flux graying flesh to parchment, smallpox pitting survivors. Cheeks like hail-scarred fields, whooping cough, paroxysms, heaving tiny frames, till blue-lipped silence claims them, your keening stifled against. Apron-lessed neighbours, whisper cursed womb. Feel the grave-digger's spade, biting clay in kirkyard corner, reserved for innocence. Shrouds winding tight as swaddlings echo, churching's bells mocking your return to Labour days hence, milk drying unwanted in aching breasts. Noble shades mirror woe, Margaret Beaufort birthing at 13. Frame rent near mortal, vowing cloister after single survivor's cry. In mortality's branching cradle, grief forges callous thicker than soul ever, each loss a lesson in detachment's blade. Noon's forge heat presses the divotee steam, madder roots crimson leaching into wool skeins stirred by paddle's scalding grip, blisters rising angry on palms as guild widow's fee extracts its toll. Yet miscarriages, shadow lingers pennyroyal's stealthy draught from wise woman's glen, cramps doubling you against hedgerow's thorn embrace, blood's warm gush staunching fertility's claim for one precious season. Churches eye blind to monthly flux, yet pyre ready for confessed contrivance. Barrenness brands deeper, God's judgment, villagers hiss at empty cradle, husband's roving eye seeking alewife's swelling belly, your distaff's well-frantic compensation for childless hearth. Feel herbs aftertang sour on breath, secrecy's weight heavier than wet fleece. In reproductive chains subtle weave, body's rhythms leased to lineage's ledger. Choice a luxury rarer than white wheaten loaf. Twilight's hush cloaks the scold's cart rumbling past, iron-shod wheels churning mire to splatter your hem. Her head shorn stubble under Brank's spiked curb, blood trickling jawline as crowd's spittle cools on bared breasts. Penance for tongue too sharp at husband's folly or lord's levy. Your own whispers policed, marketplace banter curbed lest shrew stocks claim you. Birchings, switch-lacing thighs roar before kin's averted gaze. Reputation's glass, fragile as hoarfrost. Witchmark hunts prickle skinwort. On thumb twisted to devil's teat, cow's dry udder blamed on envious glance. Ducking stools icy plunged choking breath to prove innocence. Lungs burning as reeve hauls sodden form for pyre or mercy's whim. Feel mobs press intimate, fingers pinching marks, survival's art in downcast eyes, and murmured avenue in accusation's thorny corona. Wisdom's voice strangled silent as noose. Night deepens, pallet straw shifting under shared forms. Husbands rumble lulling false security, yet old fears stir widowhood's chill knock. Reeve claiming Harriet's flesh ransom in shadowed barn. Hay pricking spine as transaction grunts eclipse stars, cold watch. Remarriage's haste binds fresh yoke. Step-babes glares colder than your eve. Dour lands slipping parchment fingers. Feel longing's ember banked low. Constraints blanket heavy as sin. Survival's poetry etched in endurance's quiet verse. Whispers fade toward dawn's fragile promise, where final threads of suffering weave closure's gentle veil. Where final threads of suffering weave closure's gentle veil. The first tentative light of dawn creeping through the hut's chinked walls like a hesitant lover. Brushing your cheek with fingers of pale gold, the night's terrors dissolving into the hearth's ashen sigh. Your body heavy with the accumulated weight of seasons' unyielding press bruises fading to yellowed memory. Children's breaths steady now in slumber's cradle, the wind's mournful howl softened to a whisper against the thatch. You rise slow, joints protesting like old oak under plough, skirts falling modest over ankles scarred by fetter's ghost, and step into the misty yard where dew clings diamond sharp to nettles, their sting a familiar rebuke as you gather greens for pottage. The earth's cool pulse against palms a reminder that life persists, stubborn as burdock root through cracked clay. Feel the well rope's rough bite renewing classes, buckets slosh echoing hollow survival's rhythm, in this radial dawn of endurance's poetry. Hardship's chains annealed to sinew, each breath a quiet reclamation from abyss's edge. Widowhood's shadow lingers longest, your man's grave mounded fresh in kirkyard's clay. Widow-s weak, granting fragile grace before reeve-s booted knock demands. Heriot best beast surrendered or body yielded in shadowed tithe barn, hay dust choking throat as his coin-cold bargain seals. Remarriage's haste, fresh husband's yoke, heavier with step-babes' sullen glares and dour lands least thin by Lord-s claw. Elite widows navigate gilded snares, Magna Carta's echo barring king's whim. Yet statute of Merton's leash permits veto if suitor foes the manor, finds crippling unlicensed vows, 100 marks, typical. Marjorie dispenses £1,000 scourge for Esquire's arms. Jacketer of Luxembourg's plunder by crown's avarice. Feel parchments, brittle hush, as you sign femme soul's fleeting charter trade's booth, your throne till vows, dissolve it churching rites, 40 days, post-loss. Mirroring births, unclean ban reputations, mirror cracked by merry widows. Hiss if paramour whispers, chase black weeds. In remarriage's thorny crown, freedoms, sipped bitter as wormwood ale. Choice bartered for security's chill embrace. Noble Joan of Navarre, pensioned yet watched, her love match, papal dispensed, after prince's nod. Yet from these crucibles blooms resilience's subtle fire, women threading forbidden guilds as silk spinners of Cologne or alewives, crowning village greens. Daughters aping spindle whirl. At 5 oral law weaving, wisdom church quills, Denny Hornbooks wax scratched avenue in dame school's flicker. Hildegard's visions inked defiant. Christine de Pizan's, city rising 'gainst misogyny's tide. Feel neighbour's palm clasping yours over shared woe at well's stone lip. Midwife's rupossit, steaming secrecy 'gainst womb's relentless claim. Cloister's grill muffling parlour plea from bloodkin bard. Survival's art in averted eyes, murmured psalm, herb stain under nail. Childbirth's 1 in 5 reaper yields to half-broods. Lost air cradles, rock stills. Ague's shiver met with willow tea. Plague's bubo lanced in vinegar's sting. Each loss forging detachments callous thicker than Soliver. Marketplaces clamour grants, widow's haggling tongue. Booths fold hiding earnings chink for daughters. Morogist, bonds radial as roots through fallow soil. The sun climbs higher, gilding furrows where your sickle swings gold harvest backs ache companions sweeter than idleness. Shame lord's levy met with gritted teeth, yet hearth provisioned against lean. Advent's fast Wednesdays, Fridays, Sundays chaste longing banked ember hot beneath blankets shared warmth. Husband's callous meets yours in firelight's hush. Children's laughter piercing smoke like contraband dawn. Constraint birthing tenderness profound as anchorite cell, which ducking's icy gasp yields to proven innocence's sputter. Scolds brank unlocked by tongue's future curb. Stock splinters washed in rain barrels bomb. Feel these trials, alchemy, transmuting suffering to strength. Eve's curse bent resilient as you bow. Philosophy woven into furrows turn. In limits forge, love chooses daily. Ingenuity nursing flame through witnesses' gaze. Privacies lack birthing bonds unbreakable as chainmail prayer. As twilight gathers once more, the hut's familiar confines embrace you gentle. Pallets sighing welcome beneath weary frame. Breaths mingling in cold airs. Cloud husbands rumble. Children sigh. Neighbors sob through wall a distant lullaby. You have walked suffering's labyrinth. Childbirth's blade. Matrimony's ring. Cloisters, stone. Guild's grudging roll. Hearth's shadowed fist. Plague's quarantined cry. Widows find vowage branch circling back to intimacy's core. Survival's whisper threading constraints weave. Here, in straws, prickle and embers glow. Peace settles profound as Vesper's amen. The messed up tapestry of medieval womanhood, not tragedy's shroud, but endurance's luminous cloak, inviting reflection on chains that birthed unyielding grace. Rest now, for dawn renews the dance, love's quiet flame eternal through night's long watch.